Does this kind of potential manipulation make investors not want to use the VIX?
I think so. First of all, I'm not going to comment on whether it's manipulated or not. I think that's something for the regulators to decide. But in terms of investors using the VIX, I mean, I think it definitely plays a role in that. If you're thinking that you're going to hold some kind of VIX future or option into the settlement, you have to consider that this thing could swing, 1 or 2 points in either direction from where it was the night before, even without the market moving. So it's definitely something to consider. And, something we always tell people is that you should trade out of these things the day before to avoid any potential surprises around the settlement like we saw yesterday.
I know you want to talk about the manipulation, but the argument against manipulation is this is just a normal arbitrage. It's a benign environment. This is what winds up happening if you have options and futures and they're rolling over and they're settling. Do you buy that argument?
I think it's a reasonable argument. I will say that yesterday's settlement was pretty out of line. So just to give you some context, the VIX was looking 15-ish at 9 a.m. going to the settle, and then about 15 minutes before the settle, basically the settlement was pushed up 2 points. And I don't want to get too far into the weeds in how this stuff happens, but essentially someone started bidding for super far out of the money, far downside options in S&P, and this in turn pushed the VIX settlement up. So whether that was due to someone intentionally trying to push it higher or a market maker legitimately trying to replace their VIX futures risk with options, that's something for someone else to decide. But it does seem a bit weird that they would need to buy those options at that exact moment.
Pravit, whether there was actual manipulation or not, it's not good for the SIBO for people to wonder about that. They want to make sure that it really is legitimate. What could they do, if anything, to make sure that no one is manipulating?
Well, the first thing you do is just really, look into it. And I think just with all the various claims going on, I'm sure they will. But something that the Europeans do with the V2X is that they basically take an averaging period. And I think that could maybe it can at least lessen some of the concerns. I mean, there's some liquidity benefit that you give up by doing that. But, there's a number of other ways they could look into the settlement process.